Hey again, guys. Okay, this is the last little video I'm going to do of it. If you really want to know all the different secrets and things of the game, you really should get it yourself because it looks like there's a lot of different endings, a lot of different paths you can take, and little information you can find out and stuff. But I went back and instead of laughing, remember how last time I laughed at the dinner table? This time I didn't laugh, and that ended up making James happy. And I got to have some of his famous pasta he made or whatever. And this time, when he was reading the book, instead of saying, "Are you hungry?" I thought that was going to be rude. But actually, "Are you hungry?" leads to this. So we will play a little more during these little parts here. So yeah, let's give it a go. So I said, "Are you hungry now?" James didn't reply. He simply stared at me, unable to answer. However, I could tell that he was. He was clutching the armrest tightly, digging his fingers into the leather. I gently leaned close to him from my chair and reached to brush my fingers over his hand. "If you really need energy, I'll help a little. No sex, but enough to stop the hunger, okay?" Once again, I was greeted with silence from James. He seemed very nervous and uncertain about what to do, now that the approval was there. He was also frozen from my touch, softly and barely twitching at the feel of my skin against his. I could feel his hand grip the armrest harder. A small feeling of boldness then ran through my body, forcing me to cover his hand completely with my own before leaning nose to nose with James in seriousness. "Alter my mind if you're concerned about me. I really do want to help you out." All of a sudden, I felt something in my mind snap and ooze into the warm, fluffy feeling I felt before with Sam and Eric. I felt my body slightly heat up as James released the armrest and gently took my wrist. He gently pulled me out of my chair and onto his lap, having me straddle him with my thighs. He stared deep into my eyes, his own glowing in hunger that I never would have expected to see from him. Oh, see, I knew it.
I won't go overboard.
It's those quiet guys, they're the naughty ones. Before I knew it, his lips were pressed hard against mine, my head being pulled to his by his hand on the back of my neck. I gently moved my hands to his shoulders and chest, melting in his lap and enjoying every feeling that ran through my body. I felt hot, desperate, and in need for more than just his kiss. Uh-oh. One of my hands slid up his neck into his hair as James lowered his kisses to my neck, gently groaning against my skin. I couldn't help but let out a small whimper of pleasure before reaching up and covering my mouth. I didn't want the others to hear me, and I was positive neither did James. James lowered his free hand to my lower back, pulling my body against his. I felt my energy slowly draining, causing me to cuddle closer to James's hold on me. He lowered his hand to my waist, squeezing it tightly as his tongue ravished my neck. His hand that was on the back of my neck, however, gently came around and held onto a tail of my bow. I sucked in a breath, but James didn't pull it to untie the bow. James lifted his lips from my neck and gently leaned his forehead to mine, rubbing nose to nose with me. He was gently breathing fast, softly red in the face, and as deep into the moment as I was.
I won't go any further if you don't want me to.
I could feel the hold of his mind-altering spell fade away, but I still felt hot. Something told me that I wanted more, but at the same time, I wasn't sure if I truly did want to give any more. Stop or keep going? Okay, at this point, I really want him, so let's keep going. We'll see how that works out for us, but I'm thinking it will help out. Yeah, it did. Okay, good. I opened the opportunity, and I was enjoying it as much as he was. I wanted more, and I was going to let him keep going. He promised not to go too far, but this wasn't far enough for me. I gently leaned in and kissed him, giving him silent approval to keep going. I could feel him pull on the tail of my bow, releasing it and letting it follow his hand off from around my neck. He moved the ribbons to the empty seat before gently unbuttoning the top half of my blouse, going no lower than above my stomach. The desire in my body drove me to move the sleeves of my shirt down my arms, escaping from it and letting the shirt hang around my belly. As he began to ravish my neck and shoulder and As he began to ravish my neck and shoulder in hot kisses, I leaned my head back and let a pleasureful sigh escape my lips. The pull in my body from him draining my energy had slowed immensely, almost completely stopping. However, James kept touching and kissing me regardless. He was full, but he was as hot as I was and kept loving on my skin and on me. I couldn't even comprehend how much time we spent making out. I was so lost in the pleasure that I didn't care. Call it sinful, but I didn't care. I loved it. I loved it. His touch, his kiss, his heat. I desired it beyond anything at that moment, even as he lowered his kisses down to my chest, to just above my bra. My heart was beating wildly in my chest. Something about James drew me to him like a moth to a flame. I didn't know if it was his aura of superiority or his gentle smile, but something made my heart quicken for him. It couldn't have been love, but it was too passionate to be lust. What was it? However, I began to feel dizzy, seeing the ceiling start to spin almost wildly. I gripped onto James's shoulders, trying to signal him to stop. My mind faded to black before I could let out another sound. I felt good. I didn't care that I was blacked out. I felt warm and fuzzy in the darkness. I never knew indulging in that kind of passion would be that good. I now just waited to awaken, hopefully in a good way. My eyes eventually fluttered open, adjusting to the sight around me. I felt familiar silks underneath me, letting me know that I was in my bed. I slowly sat up, stretching from the tiredness that still lingered. I felt a very soft pain on my neck and shoulders, and I could feel my swollen lips pulse gently in healing. However, when I looked down at my body, I saw that my shirt had been pulled back up and rebuttoned as if nothing happened between me and James. I was just missing my ribbon. Before I turned to get out of bed, though, I spotted my ribbon on the pillow beside the one I slept on. It was tied in a nice bow around a red rose that was freshly bloomed with a small note attached to it. Oh, well, okay then. I gently slipped the note from the tie and opened it to read it.
I apologize for indulging myself as I did. I hope that you will not dislike me when you awaken.
Oh, no, I won't. I will definitely like you when I awaken. I stared at the note, unbelieving what I read. Why would I dislike him? I let it happen, and I enjoyed it. It was cute, though, to imagine him asking for forgiveness for something we both did and enjoyed. I brought the rose to my nose and gently inhaled its soft fragrance. I indulged myself too, James. I looked at the time out of curiosity. The large white numbers on my phone showed 5:31 p.m. Yikes, 4 hours of being knocked out, and I still feel tired. It was Sunday, so I was allowed to sleep longer if I wanted to. The remainder of the night passed by surprisingly uneventful. The boys continued to train with each other, but were kind enough to stop and make me dinner. I was glad for that. Okay, so I'm thinking I might skip along to more stuff and see what happens, because we read pretty much all of this. Well, I'll just see what happens. Maybe something else will happen today. Felt empty without the boys. Study and sleep. Felt good. Alright, these are all the same things. Quickly buzzing.
Yo, Anderson! You're carpooling with us.
Oh shoot, I skipped that thing again. It doesn't matter. It still says the same thing. 7 stat. I'm gonna pick you up or whatever. It's 6:30, so she has time to get some eggs and toast and coffee. Oh shoot. Oh, I missed that. Oh, shootsies. Okay. So apparently there was something there that she saw, and she's like, who made that? As I spoke aloud, a small red note caught my attention. Have a good day. Yours. My heart skipped a beat as I finished. I could tell it was from one of the boys. Maybe it was from him? I smiled before putting the note in my bag and eating up. The food was so delicious I devoured every amazing bite. Okay, so he made her some breakfast. Okay. I looked at the time again. Time to go. I quickly rushed to the doors, checking myself in the passing mirror, blah, blah, blah. Before I could reach the handle of the door, however, someone took my hand. Huh? I turned to see James, who was holding my hand back with a concerned frown on his face.
My name.
Your name? Your name?
My true name isn't James, miss. I want you to know my real name if something were to happen.
Aw. His true name? What did he mean? Why was he telling me this now? I remembered reading about a demon's name from the journal I read yesterday. If you knew a demon's true name, you could summon them to you no matter where you were or where they were. No wonder. I was like, why couldn't the guys come pick me up before? I mean, they did the little siren thing, but they didn't pick me up last time. James gently pulled me to him and leaned close to whisper in my ear.
My name is Raystrow.
Raystrow. Okay. Well, Raystrow, hey. Silly. I'm sorry, I've been drinking, so I'm quite silly. As he said his name, I could feel it lock into my memory. Something in my head would make sure I would never forget it. James pulled away and smiled at me, despite still carrying worry in his eyes.
If you're in any danger, call my name. I promise that I'll come and help you.
Raystrow. I stared up at James, unable to say anything. I could only nod in response. James smiled before kissing my hand and heading into the dining room. Something told me that name would be used eventually. Okay, there you have it. They're foreshadowing to the event. Right on cue, they came up. Blah, blah, blah. First incident of the day. Ow.
Hey, are you okay? Who did that? Why, you... Suzu!
Glare into her soul. Get her. Stand up and walk away. I never glared into her soul before. Let's do that one. That sounds fun. Oh, shoot. I didn't read that last part. I keep clicking. I'm so sorry. Around Lisette, I guess I'm glaring at her and stuff. Around Lisette was a dark purple aura that seemed all too familiar. It was like demon magic, but it seemed to be tamer. I slowly rose to my feet, collecting my belongings as I continued to stare at Lisette. Something was off. As I continued to look at her, the aura grew, forming a shadow behind Lisette, with red eye-like shapes glowing from within its darkness. No wonder.
Anderson, you alright?
No wonder she's being kind of weird. Wait, is that the lady? The demon lady? Is she in her or something? I couldn't respond. I was entranced by a small hum in the air. It was distant, almost like an ethereal whisper you'd hear in horror games. Or ethereal. I don't know. I should say ethereal. Ethereal. But it was real. It sounded vaguely of a woman humming a tune I didn't recognize.
Hey, are you okay?
Let's go. We'll be late for class. I suddenly felt the need to walk away, so I did. Naomi and Suzu scrambled to catch up and follow at my new quickened pace.
Sheesh, Anderson. You look like you saw a ghost.
Well, I saw something, you girls. I saw something.
Are you really okay? That fall was pretty bad. Think she saw underneath Lisette's cake face and saw the devil itself.
Oh yeah, I just thought about something. If I skip through things too quickly, I mean, it'll be kind of a pain, but you could probably go back in the video and pause it a little bit on that particular one that I skipped on, and then you can read it. So I might go back and do that so I can see, or I can just play it again. Anyway.
Oh, Suzu, hush!
No, something was wrong with Lisette. It was more than just her being mean. There was something or someone watching over Lisette. I thought there might have been something. Or they were watching me behind Lisette. What they were doing I didn't know, but it was definitely demonic. Alright, the rest of the school was fine. Text from Dad. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, yeah, we saw something. Okay.
You're coming with me, Miss Anderson.
So we did this already. We knew we were in trouble. Echoey space. Devils are all there.
Nicely.
He's got the gun there. Should I call him right away? I don't know if I should call him right away or if I should wait to call him. Let's do it. Raystrow. All of a sudden, a bright purple light engulfed the room, causing the devils around me to cover themselves.
What the?
Gusts of wind rushed past me, almost forcing me back. I covered my face with my arms, bracing myself and standing my ground. I tried to peek through my arms to see what was going on, but the light continued to shine brightly. As the gusts slowly started to die, the light began to fade, revealing James pointing a strange golden gun behind Alex's head. James. Well, dang, boy.
It's all right now. I'm here.
Alex stared wide-eyed behind him, unsure of what to do. He had no time to react in case James pulled the trigger. He was stuck, feeling the presence of James' golden gun that was ready to lodge a bullet into his skull.
Well, it seems like I finally have your cooperation, Alex. It took long enough.
You piece of demon shit! I could shoot you right now.
And what's stopping me from shooting you first? If you so much as flinch, I will pull this trigger and end you once and for all.
The remaining devils stared, trying to figure out what to do, help Malix or watch in silence. Eris, however, walked up beside me and crossed her arms as she watched with an amused smirk on her face. Malix growled, obviously annoyed at the predicament he was in.
What is stopping you, pretty boy?
Just me wanting to do this.
With no hesitation, James quickly moved his gun and shot both of Malix's hands. The gun dropped from Malix's shot hand onto the ground as he knelt over in pain, holding his hands to his chest.
You son of a bitch!
Before Malix could finish the sentence, James aimed the gun once again at Malix's head, causing the devil to stop talking once again.
I didn't say you could speak. Do you want me to shoot you in the throat?
I stared at James in shock. Was he playing with Malix? He seemed to act like a cat poking a sharp claw at a wounded rat. It was warranted, but not what I expected of James at all.
No. I'm going to give you 3 seconds to get on your knees to beg for forgiveness. Or, the next bullet goes through your pathetic hellborn skull.
Malix hesitated, but eventually ended up on his knees. However, as he settled to the ground, Malix wrapped his arms around James' leg and dug his teeth into it. I gasped, but remained still as I watched James aim and fire a shot into Malix's back. Malix released James' leg in shock, trembling at the newfound pain. However, for some reason, Malix didn't fall over and die. He remained still, staring ahead of himself in pure shock and pain. I could only watch in silence as James lifted his leg out of Malix's embrace and kicked Malix to his side.
Disobedience until the very end, huh?
The air instantly went from frantic to still in energy. What could have been described in tone as a colored red quickly turned into a deadly mix of purple and gold as everything began to blend together all at once. I stared as James seemed to grow more menacing towards Malix. However, he quickly looked at me with a face of concern.
Please, forgive me for this.
I grew confused but wasn't allowed to think on it as James looked back down at Malix once again. James's eyes began to glow a bright gold as James lifted Malix by his collar and pulled him up and off the ground.
It's high time you discovered the true power of demons.
Oh my, James is doing something crazy. James's voice had changed, sending a large shiver down my spine. His appearance also started to change, but before I could see clearly what James was becoming, my eyes were covered.
It's me. Don't look.
I listened carefully and let the last 2 words linger in my mind. Don't look. Why? What was being hidden from me? I wanted to know, but something told me to obey Damien's command. I could hear Malix struggling to get out of James's grasp, and the rich, bright sound of magic being cast. I struggled with myself to obey Damien's words, locking my arms to my sides to deny myself the chance to pull Damien's hand off from my face.
Let me go!
As you wish.
The sound of demonic screams and cries bellowed all of a sudden, causing me to tense up in Damien's hands. Alex began to scream in agony, straining as if he was being pulled somewhere against his will. Malix's voice began to trail out into an echoey whisper as the magic sounds in the air consumed his cries. Soon enough, the cries and wisps of magic stopped, leaving the air as silent as it could be. However, Damien didn't remove his hands.
Jeez, James. Haven't seen you use that trick since the intruder in Demon Castle. But you're losing your touch. You even lost your glamour spell.
It couldn't have been helped.
Oh, glamour spell? What did he mean? Why did James sound so different? Why was this being hidden from me?
It's a spell that makes us look human.
Oh, like in the wolf game. What is it? The Wolf Among Us game. I froze. Look human? They didn't look like humans after all? What did they look like?
Like demons.
As if Matthew knew what Damien was talking about, Matthew spoke up, followed by the sound of a cork popping out of a bottle.
Well, not for much longer. Here.
Thank you, Matthew.
I could hear the small clinking of glass being passed before hearing James guzzle down a liquid of some sort. The stiff feel of the air around me gently began to warm back up, insinuating that everything had been returned to normal. Finally, Damien moved his hands from my eyes, allowing me to see around me once again. The devils, including Eris, had fled. Malix was nowhere to be found. The boys, however, had gathered around me, all of them, including James, looking like nothing had happened. what just... I tried to speak, but everything zipped around in my head, the whole event, and I felt like speaking wasn't possible.
Let's just get you home, miss. There's nothing more to see here.
I could only nod. What had happened boggled my mind to the point of disbelief. I was second-guessing everything, lost in a sea of what and how and when. As we walked out of the warehouse, I looked to James for some form of sign that I wasn't dreaming. James kept his eyes forward, unable to look at me. It was over. Malix was gone and the boys were finally safe. A wave of relief ran through my body at the thought of never having to deal with that group again. At the same time, a ping of realization hit the back of my mind. The boys were only going to stay until after Malix was defeated. That was our deal. As we approached home, I could feel something heavy weigh down on my heart. It was late, but the boys led me inside and turned on the lights in the lobby.
Finally, we can relax.
It will be good to have some rest without devils breathing down our necks.
I'm just tired. Can I hit the hay early?
I think some sleep would be good for all of us.
Should we be gone in the morning?
I gulped face to face with the reality of the situation. The boys were leaving it up to me. They looked like they were willing to accept whatever I had demanded. It was only fair, though, after all that had happened. I looked at James, feeling my heart flutter in my chest. Good. I didn't want him to leave, but would he ask to stay? I hoped that he would say no and ask me to stay longer. As if he knew what I wanted, James moved and smiled at me, taking my hand and bringing it to his lips for a kiss. He moved it away, smiled to me, and spoke.
Miss, if I may be so forward, despite the short time we've stayed here, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here. That being said, would you allow us to stay here?
Yeah. Please stay. My heart skipped while a large red blush ran across my cheeks. The boys stared at James wide-eyed, but didn't dare to speak out. James sat back to give me space, returning to where he was. I moved my gaze across each boy, trying to make a decision. If they left in the morning, I would never see them again, and my life would return to normal. If I did decide to let them go, that would have been for the best. No goodbyes, no delays. Did I want to? They had done so much for me in such a small amount of time. I'll let them stay. Why would I let them go? I wanted them to stay. I wanted him to stay. Okay, let's be honest. I merely smiled, staring at the man I had come to have feelings for, before speaking at last. I would love it if you all could stay. The boys cheered tiredly, but nonetheless enthusiastically. I giggled at the sight. It was cute to see everyone so excited, despite the tiredness that ran equally through our bodies. Today was a rough day. My home is your home, as long as you can still help with chores. The boys nodded in unison, agreeing to the terms I had set for them. Despite the good situation, I felt myself slowly slipping into unconsciousness. However, James quickly clapped his hands together, getting everyone's attention and waking me up, making sure I didn't pass out on the floor.
All right, everyone. We're all very tired, so let's head to bed, shall we?
Oh! Yeah, sleep is actually a thing. Right.
We've had a very long day, but it will be good to just relax tonight and tomorrow.
Sleep sounds really good right now.
I'm sure.
Yeah, man.
I watched a very happy smile grow onto James's lips. He shared my excitement, knowing that we would be together longer. Who knew how long we would stay together? All I cared about was that I would be with him. The others quickly left to finally rest, leaving me and James alone at last. My heart fluttered a bit as James walked closer to me, gently wrapping his arms around my form. I placed my hands into his shoulders, leaning close.
You are an absolutely wonderful woman. I'm so happy that you let us stay here.
I'm happy too, James. I stared up into his eyes, getting lost in them. I didn't know if it was the tiredness or my growing attachment to him, but I felt myself lean into James's body. It invited me to stay a while, making me forget that my bed was also calling for me.
Listen, about what happened at the warehouse.
No, it's fine. You did what you had to do. I understand. I had accepted everything while in James's warmth. He was real, and he was someone I didn't want to be without, even if that meant nodding against my curiosity. Besides, I was too tired to explore that memory further. James nodded before kissing my forehead sweetly.
Come, let's get you to bed.
I nodded before James gently lifted me up into his arms like a bride and carried me to my room. I didn't want to leave his arms, leaning my head against James's chest, but eventually I was slowly lowered to my bed and covered with my bed covers. I was still in my school clothes, but I was too tired to strip or care. I looked up to James, fighting a yawn from escaping me as he gently ran a hand over my hair.
Have sweet dreams. I'll prepare breakfast again for you in the morning.
I nodded with a tired smile before watching him slowly stand and leave my room, closing the door. A wave of happiness washed over me as I laid in bed. I made a good choice. Sure, it would be hard, but I could tell that I would be able to manage it. Help around the house, and being with a man whom I was slowly starting to fall for would be worth it. Exhaustion took over, blah, blah, blah. Everything was peaceful. I was happy. Oh, that was the end. Oh, okay. Oh, wait a second.
You are an interesting creature.
She came back.
No screaming now. Too early, silly girl.
Why'd they do this after? I guess I got the ending, but now this is an extra part of it.
Why do the boys like you? Ooh, you're...
So all this stuff happened.
Silly girl. Well, a goodie look... Oh.
Competition?
For the boys, of course. They don't belong here, and yet here they remain. I want to know why, and remedy this little issue.
Alright, that's a little different. Seriously pissing me off. Issue? What issue? They want to stay here so they can.
Silly, uneducated human. You don't understand the important roles these boys play in the Abyssal Plains. You keeping them here is practically imprisonment.
They like it here. Leave them alone. You have about 10 seconds to leave.
Is that a threat? How cute. What are you going to do? Kill me?
And if I do?
You barely have the strength to stand, little human. I can rip the rest of your energy out and knock you into a coma. You'll never be able to wake up again.
Aw. Touch me and I'll...
Enjoy every minute of it.
Oh dear. I felt my body freeze and heat up to almost a painful haze. My mind began to feel fuzzy as Diana stepped to me and caressed my cheek.
Now, you're going to listen to everything I say without any questions. Got it?
What's my guy's name? Ray Straw.
Good. I plan to bring the boys back to the Abyssal Plains. Why? So that I can take my place as queen of their realm. They have no reason to be here in this silly little world, so I'm going to make sure they return home. Okay, Pumpkin?
It's weird. I saw the word pumpkin there, and I just thought to myself, I would love to have like a pumpkin cookie, or a pumpkin muffin, or a pumpkin cake, or a pumpkin bagel with pumpkin ice cream, or pumpkin, what's that called? Cream cheese? Pumpkin ice cream's great too. Have you ever had pumpkin cheesecake ice cream from Baskin Robbins? So great. Sorry, I got a little distracted. I nodded but growled. My rage couldn't be concealed, despite the hold I was under. You evil bitch.
Call me evil all you want, dearie. I'm not evil. You're just in my way.
I felt Diana lean into my ear and whisper, making me unconsciously shiver in both pleasure and annoyance.
Now, be a good little human and go to bed. I'll make sure they're gone before you get home tomorrow from school, so make sure to say goodbye in the morning.
I felt my body move on its own to lay in bed and cover itself with my bed sheets. I glared at Diana the entire way down. Diana laughed at my futility. I'll get you.
Oh, please do.
Ugh. All of a sudden, her voice deepened and became cold and demonic, sending a violent scared shiver down my spine. Her red eyes practically illuminated in the darkness of my room as she glared at me.
Give me a reason to make your life a living hell.
I gritted my teeth, trying to fight back against the hold on me. She couldn't have been that tough. She needed energy to survive, right? I was sure she couldn't have had enough to hold me down forever. Diana then laughed and returned to normal.
Oh, and make sure you don't tell the boys I was here. I want my visit to be a surprise.
I felt the hold on me disappear, allowing me to sit up and practically growl at Diana in rage. What's stopping me?
Then you must not care about your friends and family as much as you care for the boys.
I sobbed and stared. What did she mean by that? Was that a threat to my family? Diana smirked at me, knowing the confusion behind my eyes.
Let's just say that if you tell the boys about me, I'll make sure that no one will care for you, and you'll be all alone in this little house until the day you die.
I could feel fear creeping into me. Alone? How could she do that? The word demon reverberated in my head, reminding me that I was facing off against something supernatural. A human with a shield versus a devil was one thing. A human on her own versus a demon was another.
Have a good night.
And with that, Diana sank into the floor through a magic purple pentagram, which disappeared as her head vanished into the floor. I couldn't believe it. I had one problem, and now I had another. Instead of a crazy psycho devil who wanted to kill me and the boys, I had a succubus wanting to ruin my life and take the boys away. Could my life get any worse? No, I wasn't going to let her win. She's not as powerful as she looks. I know it. I had to mentally confirm it. She wasn't going to win. The boys wanted to stay with me. I let out a sigh before closing my eyes, affirming my plan in action. No matter what she was going to do, I was going to beat her. Oh wow, so now it's taken on like a whole new part of the game because it didn't just end like that. Cool. I don't know how much longer it's going to be, but I'm going to see if I can just keep trying to finish it up in this session. Eventually, the morning arrived and the sun screamed at me to get up. Surprisingly, I woke up before my alarm clock once again, which was nice. I stretched out and quickly got dressed, getting ready for school. She expects me to say goodbye to the boys. I will say good morning, and we'll see them when I come back. No way am I going to say goodbye. I scooped up my bag and headed downstairs to the dining room, seeing the boys already eating a delicious selection of food. The smell made my stomach growl wildly as the sight of food drew me to walk further into the room.
Good morning, miss. Did you sleep well?
Before I could lie, hiding the incident in the back of my mind, Damien furrowed his eyebrows and stopped eating.
She's here.
Oh, see? That's the one thing, is I wouldn't have been able to not tell him because he can read minds. She didn't think about that, I guess. The boys looked to Damien in confusion while I cursed his ability silently in my mouth.
Damien, what's up with you? Of course she's here. She kinda owns the house.
Damien looked to me, wanting me to explain for him. However, the threats that Diana gave me last night warned me to keep my mouth shut. Diana or avoid it. I don't want my family to get hurt, but I also don't want to lie to them. I feel like they'll find a way to keep my family safe. Let's tell them about it. Damien pressed his lips together into a fine line. The other boys looked at me with a raised eyebrow. A girl named Diana came by last night.
Diana? Is she important?
Did she try to hurt you?
She's a succubus. A single word made the boys stop and stare at me. I looked to each boy, unsure of what was going through their minds. Should I have avoided it?
So, she's come to try and bring us back.
Mm-hmm.
She must really be desperate.
Well, what should we do now?
Nothing. She'll give up eventually.
Will she?
The boys continued to look at me as if I knew the answer to that question. Damn it, Damien. She said that if I told you, she'd make my life a living hell. She can't possibly do that, right? She's not a devil.
No, she isn't. However, she is a very powerful demon.
She's a master of mind manipulation and has been trained in illusion. Unlike other demons who use strength to get power, she uses her charisma.
She has the power to make armies bow to her and obey her every whim. That's why she's so obsessed with us.
What? What do you mean?
Well, she sorta has family ties to us. She was promised to marry one of us in exchange for more power.
She's just some whacked up hussy who doesn't know how to close her legs.
She's not a real threat.
Oh, really? I feel insulted.
Oh no, she's here. The boys and I looked around the room, wondering where the voice came from. I felt cold sweat run down the back of my neck in fear, remembering what kind of power she had. At last, we saw Diana by the entrance of the kitchen, juggling a single red apple in her hand as she leaned against the archway. The boys quickly surrounded me, glaring at the intruder.
So, you took up a human name as well.
Beautiful name, isn't it? Well, for a human name, anyway.
What the hell do you want?
To bring you back, of course. However, you weren't supposed to know that I was coming. I completely forgot about that little mind-reading ability. My mistake.
Diana pushed off from the archway and walked towards us, making the boys step closer to me in a protective circle. Diana laughed.
My. What has the world come to? A group of demons protecting a human girl? I'll tell you right now, she's not that pretty. And from what I can tell, she's still a virgin.
My face grew red in complete anger and embarrassment. How dare she? Oh, hell no. Or this one. I don't know, do I need to fight? Do I need to fight for myself, or do I need to just feel like let it go and let them talk about it? I don't know. What am I gonna say? Oh, hell no. Don't say that, girl? I don't know. Diana chuckled and smirked at me, knowing that I wanted to hit her, but had control of myself.
Such control you have, human. You know your place very well.
I just know I don't have the power to defeat you, but they do, right? I didn't control the growl that escaped my throat, however.
Well, will you all change your minds? I assure you, it's for the greater good.
I expected the boys to say no. What I heard was complete silence. None of the boys replied to Diana, which made me both nervous and fearful as to why. Diana leaned her head back a bit, surprised for a different reason.
No. Well, I see.
Was silence truly them saying no to her? I looked around at the boys and saw the disobedience in their eyes, giving me my answer. I felt my heart flutter, especially when my eyes landed on James. He kept close to me, glaring daggers into Diana. I could feel that he was completely adamant in his choice to stay. Okay, good. I don't know what, but I was incredibly happy to know he wanted to stay. Diana sighed and pressed a finger into her temple, rubbing it gently.
Either all of you are playing a very convincing hard-to-get game, or you all must be out of your minds.
Diana then looked to me, locking her gaze with mine as if to read me. I could tell she wanted me to do something, but the boys would stop her, so the stare was her only available action. After a small moment of silence, Diana licked her lips before breaking the gaze battle and smiling to the boys around me.
Very well. I guess I'll take my leave now.
What? Her leave? Was she serious? The boys around me straightened up and grew confused looks on their faces as Diana stepped back and away from us with a small bow, flaunting her cleavage. Without another word, a deep purple pentagram appeared under her feet, and Diana's body slowly sank into the floor. As her head vanished into the floor, the pentagram vanished. At once, the boys relaxed and slowly began to return to their spots at the table, each in deep thought. Alright, well, this looks like it's going to be still taking a little bit of time, so I will pause for now. We've certainly opened up some more good, juicy stuff in the story. So I'll pause, and we'll come back in a little bit. See you guys.